Okay, so we already talked a little bit about the unrest that we saw over the weekend in different cities across the country, clashes, everything from pepper spray, Trump trucks with flags driving into people. I mean, we just saw all sorts of different stuff. And the point I tried to make was that arguing about what percentage of the unrest and violence is coming from either side, from each side, is not really an effective use of time. And that even though it's counterintuitive, I believe that chaos and unrest helps Donald Trump secure re-election, if it does anything at all. Well, outgoing Trump advisor Kellyanne Conway was recently interviewed, and she said that from her perspective, the more chaos there is, she used the words anarchy and vandalism, the better it is and in terms of the choice between Trump and Biden on public safety and law and order. Now, I happen to agree with her. I think she's completely wrong on the facts. In other words, Trump's president now, and the chaos he's pointing to is happening now. That doesn't really justify re-electing Trump. So I disagree with her that it actually illuminates who would be better on this issue. Vice President Joe Biden was vice president for 8 years. We didn't have this type of chaos then. But from a political standpoint, and in terms of who supports which candidate, I believe she is right. Let's take a look at what she had to say.
Also noticed there was a quote today from a restaurateur in Wisconsin saying, "Are you protesters trying to get Donald Trump reelected?" He knows full stop, and I guess Mayor Pete knows full stop, that the more chaos and anarchy and vandalism and violence reigns, the better it is for the very clear choice on who's best on public safety and law and order. I was in Fort McHenry last.
So a logical person would say, wait a second. Trump is president and it's chaotic. You don't expect that same president to fix the issue. You change president if you want the issue fixed. Re-electing the guy during whose presidency there's chaos isn't going to stop the chaos. The reality is that they are creating these images of chaos with footage from Portland. It's being strategically disseminated. Look at some of the usual suspects, some of the so-called enlightened centrists on the internet who claim to be unbiased arbiters, but who are furthering this exact narrative that things would be far less chaotic if Trump gets reelected. They use this to rile up their base. Trump has been doing it for a while. We saw it during the RNC, using the phrase violent anarchists or anarchists, as Trump often says, mispronouncing it. Marxists, they talk about. Socialists, communists, etc., who are out there and they want to hurt the police and they want to hurt people and all of this different stuff. This is called chaos PR, chaos public relations, and it is counterintuitive. I get that it's counterintuitive, and I understand why some in the audience don't agree with me. Vladimir Putin has used this stuff. Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel previously used more what we would call fear public relations than chaos public relations, but it's certainly related. And the idea is that when you're, let me see how I can explain this in the clearest way. When your constituents are the ones more likely to be activated by chaos, the fact that the chaos is happening under your watch doesn't hurt you. And if there are a whole bunch of people, remember, half the country doesn't vote, but there are a bunch of people in the non-voters who would support Biden if they voted, and there's a whole bunch of people in the non-voters who would support Trump if they voted. If you can find an issue that disproportionately activates your side, it really doesn't matter if it's idiotic to suggest that, hey, it's chaotic under my watch, re-elect me and I'll stop the chaos. The lack of logic in that actually doesn't matter. The Biden campaign is increasingly understanding this. Biden's deputy campaign manager, Kate Bedingfield, said over the weekend, Trump is deliberately inciting violence. And I believe he is because he believes it will benefit him. The United States globally has become a joke under this presidency. And Donald Trump is doing something that should be laughed out of office, which is trying to get reelected by gaslighting people about the current state of affairs. Trump had a failed coronavirus response. It caused chaos. It caused medical chaos, cultural chaos, economic chaos. Trump then blames the chaos on the left and says, re-elect me and I'll fix this. Wait a second, you caused it. Trump is essentially trying to be both the arsonist and the fireman, right? Create the crisis and present himself as the hero who can fix it. And to that end, he is manipulating the bases of both parties and getting the bases of both parties to play active roles. Understand I don't want to call it genius because I don't know that it's calculated. But what Donald Trump is doing by inciting violence and unrest is he's activating the so-called law and order people on his side to get out and vote. And he's also activating the people on the left who are furious about what's going on to go and protest. And while most of the protesters are overwhelmingly peaceful, it is going to foment the narrative that he wants of an angry, out of control, anarchist left, which is not accurate, but it is doing things to both bases that I believe benefits him. Now, unfortunately, fact-checking this won't help. We've been fact-checking it for a long time. It's beyond fact-checking. And I'm assuming I don't have to say this to you. When the incumbent president believes that generating more chaos in the streets, retweeting videos of street fights, as Trump did over the weekend, which I will tell you about, it is not a good situation when that is what the incumbent president believes will get him reelected. It's even worse when he might be right. And of course, this strategy disproportionately works on people who can easily be bamboozled. There are a lot of those people in Trump's constituency. So the question is, what should we do? I don't have an answer for you today. I'm going to think about it and hopefully follow up with you later this week. If you have thoughts, I do want to hear from you. You can let me know via Twitter @DPakman. One of our sponsors today is Hydrant, and they are giving my audience 25% off your first order. This has been a game changer for me. This is a refreshing electrolyte powder that you mix directly into your water to rehydrate your body because it is packed with the 4 essential electrolytes that your body needs the most. That's sodium, potassium, magnesium, and zinc. And because of how Hydrant is formulated, it's an efficient way of getting yourself rehydrated, and it tastes awesome. There's a variety of flavors. I have blood orange, which I love. You can also get grapefruit and lime. A lot of us don't even realize when we're dehydrated a lot of the time, and it's become a really great part of my daily routine. If I'm underhydrated, I'm affected physically, I'm affected mentally, and I think you never fully understand this until you use Hydrant for the first time. I get a great boost of energy when I'm properly hydrated, if I've been dehydrated. They also have a version with caffeine, which I love, if and when that's what I'm looking for. Everyone in my audience gets 25% off your first order when you go to drinkhydrant.com/Pakman, or just enter the code Pakman at checkout. I've put the link right underneath this video.